Those of us that have been through the most trauma, and I know trauma is a subjective word, and when I say that word, I'm really referring to through the lens of perception. It doesn't have to be a noteworthy traumatic event. But those of us that have been through the most trauma have the biggest ego. And it doesn't look like the I am great and I know all and I can do anything type of ego. It is more typically an inferior ego, but an ego nonetheless. And this ego aspect was the creation of the child, the one that went through the trauma, to protect them from the pain of the experience. But what it ends up doing is protecting us from life and disconnecting us from our true nature. So this healing process that we are all undergoing really is a breaking down, a bringing you to your knees some days, where you feel so raw and so vulnerable and so broken open. And that's the point, because that in those moments is when the ego is loosening its grip. It's being dissolved one layer at a time. It is shedding and letting go of the control that it has over you and your perception of reality and your perception of yourself. But what it takes with it as it begins to dissolve is your confidence. Confidence is always attached to ego. But what is being birthed through you in those moments, because as one thing leaves, there's never a vacuum, there's never a hole that's left, although it feels like it at times. As the ego leaves, trust starts to be birthed. Self-trust, trust in your path, trust in your guides, trust in life, trust in the universe. As confidence that is attached to the ego leaves you, trust is what is birthed. You learn then how to trust yourself more, to trust your voice, to trust your intuition, to trust your path. And trust leaves you leaning into faith. So the loss of confidence births trust, but trust births faith. And when you can operate from a place of pure faith, of not knowing from one now to the next now, and just operating in that space of complete faith, you are in the fifth dimensional state. So while it can be very uncomfortable for there to be a loss of confidence, understand that that loss is being replaced with trust, and trust is the birthplace for faith.